All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Autonomy Podcast. And I'm welcomed today by Amrutha. Nice to see you, Amrutha. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for the welcome. I'm great. And it's nice to be here and share my experiences so far with autonomy.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Really great to have you. And also you joined Autonomy actually recently. So you only joined around the Christmas time. So that's always like a tough time to join. The holidays, Christmas, food here and there. How did you feel joining around that time?
I remember I was on vacation actually when I was chatting with Nathan on Instagram and he was like, you know what, you got to commit right now. And I was like, yeah, there's no excuses. You got to start. There will always be Christmas or something else coming your way. I'm a very social person. So I was like, let's just begin. It was tough because you're the one there like weighing out your portions while everybody's like, what? They don't care what they eat.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy I started when I started.
That's awesome. I really want to salute you because it's such a tough decision because a lot of other people would think, you know what, I'm going to enjoy the Christmas and New Year's holidays and start after New Year's resolution. But here you are, Amrutha. You know what? I'm decided. I'm going to start right now. I don't care. Let's do it.
Exactly. And no regrets. I think what's amazing about autonomy is also the fact that you always make room to celebrate, right? In the end, it didn't feel as difficult as I thought it would be. So I guess that helped a little.
That's great to hear, especially also from somebody who joined recently, because always the first month is always tough, like getting used to things, getting used to the habits of probably weighing food, portion control, reporting to your coach, all of these. So it's really great to know that your start of the journey was really smooth. How do you feel so far after a couple months?
Great, actually, because it's not easy, right? So my background, I'm a food scientist with a PhD in nutrition, so I should be knowing what to do, but it doesn't work like that. I feel like you're the last person that takes care of yourself. You're there like telling other people what to do. So actually having somebody else to take you by hand and say like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And sometimes you know what you're supposed to do, but subconscious, you want somebody to tell you that. Dimple is my coach, and sometimes I have her voice in my head. So when I'm weighing something, I know she's gonna give me shit if I weigh like 20 grams more. So you don't want to deal with that. And so the journey has also been very fun.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah. And I think for me, so I grew up eating Indian food. I've moved around a lot. So I would say, let's say 50 to 60% of my diet is not Indian food, but it's still something I'm very familiar with. So I like the fact that, here we say, okay, let's not compromise on what you're used to eating and let's create a plan around it. And I think that's what for me makes it very sustainable.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, Amrutha, like what did you struggle with before joining Autonomy and you felt, I really struggled with that. And now my coach have put a strategy for me to overcome that struggle.
I think when I was 15, I was diagnosed with PCOS. Of course, you work out, you're always comparing yourself to others, right? So I was always an active person. So either running or going to the gym, but you never saw results. And then I was like, okay, nothing is working out for me. So then it was a really shitty cycle because you do something, you don't see results, and then you stop. So that was not working for me. And then just reading more and more about PCOS and what that means, I realized that, okay, I can't just follow what any other random person next to me is doing. I need to take control of diet, my exercise, and also be very structured because sometimes I would, run 15 kilometers, but come and eat like 3,000 calories worth of food. I think having Dimple on this journey for me has been super great because I think she's gone through the exact same struggles as I have. So when I tell her, hey, I'm feeling this way, she exactly knows because she's been through the same. And I think that's amazing. You feel like you can trust what this person says, if that works for them, then it works for you. So for example, it was 2 weeks ago, my scale wasn't budging and I was like, hey, what the hell, I'm doing what's needed and so much more. And she's like, hey, this happened to me too. And we went through her graph of how she did everything and it was just plateauing, but then she saw a drop. And then I was like, it helps you kind of keep faith. As she says, trust the process. I love that.
That's fantastic. It's always great to know that you share also the coach's journey as well. Like they had the same journey, so you feel like you can relate as well, and it kind of builds that trust even more.
Exactly, totally, because anything you say, she's like, don't worry, because sometimes when you talk about your problems with somebody that has not gone through the same, they think, hey, maybe you're just lazy or you're not trying hard enough. I'm really happy that when I was having my first initiation call with autonomy, they were like, okay, we know who you're going to work with. And that's nice.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And how did you feel, Amrutha, before joining autonomy or obviously trying different things, like you said before, and not seeing results? Like, how did that make you feel that time?
It's super frustrating, right? Because you keep thinking, I'm doing everything. What am I doing wrong? But then there's nobody to tell you, like, hey, where is it that you're going wrong? For example, right now, I have somebody saying, like, you can't take a big plate of food and fill it up. So it was a lot of frustration, and you're like sort of giving up. And then part of you says, like, there must be a solution to this. Yeah, you're desperate, I guess. You feel demotivated. It brings your mood down. Yeah, it's not a great feeling.
Yeah, I totally get it. Absolutely. We all sink into that, and it's easy to sink into those thoughts as well, even make it even more demoralizing.
Exactly.
So, Amrutha, what was the moment for you? It was a big moment for you to actually decide to do this before Christmas. And you were like, I'm going to do it right now. What was the moment and key trigger for you to decide to do it?
It's funny because I got engaged summer last year. And then we started to plan our wedding. We're getting married end of this year. So in November. So I was like, you know what? This time around, I don't have an excuse. I have to look my absolute best. And I was thinking of what am I going to do? I was kind of looking up coaches in Zurich. And it's by chance that I stumbled upon autonomy. And I think that's amazing that happened because it was just like scrolling and it came up. And then I was like, this is a sign, And
what caught your attention, Amrutha? Obviously, we see a lot of ads when we're scrolling through Instagram. So what caught your attention? This is interesting. I'm going to want to explore that.
I think the term South Asian diet caught my interest first because, of course, it's very new in this whole world of coaching and providing input into what you're supposed to be eating. And I was like, okay, there's somebody that can actually help you get the results that you want with kind of the lifestyle that you have. So I was intrigued.
Yeah.
And I think that caught my interest first. And then I think just speaking with Dimple and going through this whole process, I was like, great, okay, the wedding is just my first step, but it's more really of a lifestyle change, really. So I don't look it as a diet plan, but I see way more positives than just losing weight. Like my sleep has become insanely better. Like I sleep so well, no more gut issues. Funnily, like I was going to the doctors back in October, November, and right now I can sleep like a baby and wake up feeling great. I realize that it's something long-term for me.
Yeah, and that's the mindset, is that we're not caught in the moment, but we do something like, for our future self, because you're young, you're going to get married, you want to live a happy, healthy life as well. So you decided to do it at the right moment as well. And it's really great to hear like you seeing all of these signs of improvements in only a couple months as well. Let me ask you, like, how was Christmas for you and New Year's, getting into something new, something that is out of your comfort zone, getting used to weighing food and portion control? Like, how did you survive that era? Like, it's tough for a lot of people to start with.
Yeah. For me, also, I have my birthday on the 24th. And
That's
I
awesome.
remember being such a buzzkill. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to have a birthday cake this time. I think so I started, I think, around the 18th or 19th of December. So the thing is also, I DJ in the weekends. So that's kind of like my side hustle.
Nice.
I told Dimple, I was like, yeah, we're starting at the worst time. I have a gig this weekend, and then in 2 days is my birthday, and then it's Christmas. It was tough because I was scared, right? Especially the first day is the worst. I remember I woke up feeling very nervous. I was like, I have to weigh every single thing. But also what I like is that the whole way of how you portion your food. So maybe you don't have the time and a scale next to you, but you know that, half your plate has to be veggies and all of that. So then you realize, okay, I don't need to be putting in every gram into MyFitnessPal. And I think that's how I got through it. And over New Year's, I was with 10 of my friends in a nice chalet in the mountains. I let myself go for maybe a couple meals, but I also knew that, hey, you know what? You just work harder when you come back and you see how the entire work week looks like. And then you also realize that you don't feel like you're imprisoned in a way. Like you can still have fun, enjoy a little bit, and then make up for it.
Exactly. Yeah. I've been checking also your progress, and you have lost so far around 4 kilos, like 8 pounds. It is really amazing to actually be having that kind of progress, especially starting around Christmas and then your birthday and then New Year's, all of these events happening
Like,
and
boom,
you're
boom,
still
boom.
managing. and you survived all of these bullets and you came out with weight loss. That's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I salute you and I want to encourage you to keep going and keep hitting those goals.
For sure.
All
And it's
right.
really the first time that, in spite of all of these gigs and celebrations, I've managed to actually drop so many kilos. So you're like, damn, this is possible, you know? With Dimple, we were discussing because I was like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna hit my goal of going down 10 kilos by the time I get married. And she was like,
Yeah.
nah, you're gonna get that. And even more, maybe. Maybe your goal is gonna change in a few months. And that's very exciting.
Awesome. Tell me a bit, Amrita, as a scientist who has a lot of knowledge in food, all of that, why did you feel you needed professional guidance and help as well in that aspect?
I think for me, the first thing is accountability. I would like to think that I'm a very busy person in the sense I have a full time job. I have a very, very social life, lots of social activities, and doing music. In the weekends, I don't know, going to bed at 6 or 7 a.m. And for me, those are non negotiables in a way because I don't want to be changing my life drastically. And to actually have somebody to do most of the work for you, creating a game plan, telling you what exercises to do, telling you what to eat, makes your life easier. When you know that somebody is watching you, then you also know that you can't cheat. Sometimes I feel guilty, when I tell her, like, hey, I messed up last night, but then that's fine. So I think I need that. And I think knowing the science behind something and applying that to real day life is very, very different. That's what I realize. And
Absolutely.
to create healthy habits takes time, and it's good that I have somebody who's done it and who can tell me what's good for you and what's not.
Absolutely. That's awesome to hear, Amrita. You mentioned also struggling with PCOS for quite a few years. How do you feel you are managing the symptoms now with this diet plan?
I think maybe it's a tad bit early. So, of course, for me, irregular periods were concerning. Let's see how that goes because it's not even 2 months now since I
Yeah.
started. So, curious how that will be. But definitely, like just your weight going down. I think that's what most women with PCOS struggle. Like your weight
Yep.
just stays there, and you may be eating hardly any carbs, but still, your weight doesn't move. And to see all of that, so I see the symptoms slowly getting better. I am going to do a testing at the doctors of get my blood work done right now when I'm at the start of my journey, let's say,
Yep.
and then check in another 6 months to actually see what inside has changed. And I'm curious to see what that's gonna be like.
That would be like really interesting to see how things change and hopefully get you on a part two of this podcast too, like to see
Exactly.
at the end of the journey, like,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
remember what we talked about now and then we will relate to that in a few months.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But it's also finally your clothes that you didn't wear for 3 years because they just didn't fit you, suddenly fitting you right now.
Wow, that's a game changer, right? Yeah.
For
It's
sure.
certainly great to see those small things in your life and they're really motivating. For example, you're submitting your progress photos and you see like how you were and how you have transformed in a couple months only, clothes like you mentioned, all of these like small things, people you haven't seen in a while and they see you and it's like, oh man, like you've lost weight. It kind of really gives you that push, right?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, because people around you that see you every day, they don't say anything. And I'm like, what? You haven't seen me? And why don't you notice a change? But yeah, it was last weekend that I met somebody who I haven't seen in 6 months. And she was like, damn, you look good. And I was like, nice.
Nice. I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
That's awesome
Yeah.
to hear, Amrita. So tell me about the strategies that Dimple adopted, especially around socials, like you said, around like, being a DJ. There's like alcohol around, like being around with people out and about. How did you feel those strategies worked out for you doing your socials?
So for me, I think my biggest challenge was being super hungry after a gig and coming back home at 6 in the morning and
Yeah.
eating whatever I could find, right? And I remember the first time that happened, I was like, hey, Dimple, I'm so sorry, but I ate like 2 cheese sandwiches. And she was like, it's fine, but next time, prep your meal. And so then last time around, we said, okay, you know what? You're going to take a little Tupperware to your gig. And then when you're on your way back, you can already start eating. And I think being prepared is key. I'm still not perfect I think life gets in the way and you think, yeah, I'm gonna fix this, and then suddenly it's the weekend, and then it's easy to slip back into your old habits. But I think being prepared, if you really know, hey, I'm gonna be out from here to here, I need to really get my shit together and pack my meals, buy all the healthy snacks that I can. Also, she cuts my snacks, which is good, you know. I think then you also tend to indulge in your like cheat meals or whatever without guilt. And
Yeah.
I like that because then you kind of feel like you earned it. And alcohol has I haven't been that big of a drinker, so for me, I got lucky, I think, that way. Otherwise, if I were out every weekend drinking all those beers, that would have been a disaster.
It's very tough, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, Amrita. And what do you feel helped you remain consistent? Of course, it's a journey, so there's ups and downs, cheat meals here, things don't work out. What did you feel over the course of, it's still early on for you, of course, like 2 months, but what did you feel you remained consistent or
I,
helped you
I think,
remain consistent?
like I said before, I think the familiarity in terms of what you've been eating. So let's say, I don't know, you grew up eating dal all your life. I think it's also something that your body has adapted to, right? So my gut knows what's good for it. And let's say that's how I get all my iron in. And to go to any other coach that says, hey, that's all carbs, like take it out of your diet, that's not going to work for me. So this makes me feel like, okay, you can still lose weight. You can still have all your macros and micros in. And that's great. Yeah, flexibility as well. You know, the fact that you have your work week. This is how it's going to be in the weekends when you go out. This is how we're going to tailor your weekends. Having that kind of flexibility also makes it doable, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think something I am getting used to still, but I keep hearing this from Dimple, is the fact that, you know, when you slip, I used to feel very guilty the next day. So I would be like, oh, Dimple, I gotta compensate. I gotta do this. And she's like, just shake it off and you keep moving forward, you know? And that's great because I think everybody messes up. I keep also thinking, hey, what are the other autonomy? Are they all like measuring every gram of their food? Are they like consistent 24/7? So you always think that you're not good enough, but then in the end you see results.
Exactly. That's what matters at the end, seeing those results and bouncing back from also the bad days and bad choices, because we're human beings. We're going to do good choices, we're going to do bad choices, but we don't want to be lingering around the bad choices. We want to move on, do good choices and carry on with this journey, right?
Exactly. Sometimes like on those bad days and I open Nathan's Instagram and I'm like, damn, how did this person lose 20 kilos in 3 months? And then Dimple was like, nah, don't see those stories. You know, you compare yourself only with yourself. Don't ever compare yourself with someone else. It's a lot of learnings, but I think we're going the right way.
Absolutely, Amrutha. Let's chat about your goals at the end and see what did you have in mind, before joining Autonomy? What was the end game for you? Who is the new Amrutha that you are looking to achieve or look like at the end of this journey before your wedding?
Two things, right? For me, before I started working with Autonomy, I was like, okay, getting into this, probably I'm gonna shed a few pounds and look amazing. And that's where it kind of ended. But then slowly talking to Dimple, getting into the whole thing, for me, of course, I want to look fabulous, kind of be in my best shape and feel good about myself. But at the same time, like I said before, for me, it's revamping my lifestyle because I don't look at this as a diet. It's more like relearning how to eat, really. And also with exercise, you know, like really keeping track of what you're doing, because finally you also see yourself getting stronger at the gym and you're like, this never happened before, you know. So learning a lot of new habits and kind of keeping that for life, I guess.
Yeah, and it's certainly like you can see it with, it's not only nutrition, like you can see it how it's affecting your sleep, like you're sleeping better now, gut health is way better. It's a really collective thing that if we take care of something as major as diet in our life, it has consequences on other health aspects in our life as well. Stress, sleep, gut health, mental health, all of that.
100%. And it's interesting how like you start to observe your body and yourself way more closer when you watch what you eat. Now, it was 2 weeks ago, I had a couple glasses of wine and I felt like I was hungover for 2 days, or I ate a fatty meal, I don't know, last week. And then you realize how your body is not liking that, you know? So you also are like, okay, I don't want to feed my body what it doesn't like. So you learn to take care of your body. I don't know. Before I started autonomy, I would just eat whatever I wanted and I would be like, yeah, today I feel shitty, but it's fine. And that's changing. So
Exactly. Like certainly training your body to starting to eat, would say like cleaner. That's what we would usually say. It totally affects when we have an off plan meal or like an alcoholic drink or something like that. And it totally takes a toll on your health the next morning. And if you're like, oh man.
yeah, and that makes you think like this meal wasn't even worth it. So it's good in a way because I mean there are still cravings, but probably your cheat meals are going to slowly reduce just because you
Absolutely.
know what the aftermath is.
Exactly, Amrutha.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So my last question to you is obviously like you're still like new in this journey, so we're also going in. So, but what are like three tips or advices that you would give to anyone who is joining right now?
Tips in the sense of what I've learned so far.
Yeah, like there's somebody who talks to you right now and they're thinking of joining autonomy. What advices would you give them coming into this journey?
Trust the process.
I
Definitely
love
trust the
that.
process. I think that's probably something that's being passed on, right? Have fun while you're at it. It's a very exciting journey, and I think there are great coaches. I just also really like how, for example, I get little surprises in my post box every couple weeks, and I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I got a shaker. Oh, I got a book. So it's the details, and I think it shows that the team cares. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's a process, and I think everybody keeps learning, and for sure you're gonna see results, and you're gonna keep getting better every day.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
amazing to hear, Amrita. Thank you for taking the call today and
of
be on
course.
this podcast. We're really excited to have you on board. And but this is not the end. This is part one. We're gonna have a
Exactly.
part two at the end of this journey. I would say like close to your wedding to see like how you're feeling, like how excited are you for the wedding and to compare as well. So that would be I'm really excited for part two actually.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Probably I'm gonna look different. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
But no, thanks so much for having me. Very, very happy to be on board. And yeah,
That's awesome. Looking forward to it, Amruta. And we'll keep looking at your progress and following up with Dimple and see how you're doing as well. And I'll send you like, a few nudges and motivations here
yes,
and there.
please. I need it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Amruta.
Thank you.